only got a couple of minutes. We've got a few questions in the Q&A. I think we should just take them sort of first come, first serve. Lynn, do you want to?
I mean, we've got a little bit of time left as I look at these. And first of all, thank you everyone for engaging. But I would say, looking through these, most at the moment are really focused on the supply, manufacturing, and a little bit about the half-life and impact on that. So maybe what I'll do is just mash up a few of these questions. And I think that's going to put Milton, Dave, and probably you, Tom, back on the hot seat. But Mike, do help steer me here. So one of the questions that has come up is that given that, greater than 40% of astatine actually decays directly with alpha emission to bismuth. Basically, the question here is about what are the manufacturing and scaling considerations for radioactive waste storage and disposal. And then I'll just tack on to that another key thing that came up, again, related to the production and radio labeling. Does it need to be in the same zip code considering the short half-life of Astatine-211?
Do we want to have Milton or Yutiana address the first question about bismuth?
Maybe I'll go first if Milton doesn't mind.
Okay.
So I do want to encourage all of you guys to take a look at the clinical clinical trial that Dr. Tadashi Watabe did in Japan for treating patients with thyroid cancer with sodium acetate. In this clinical trial, they did measurements, theoretical calculations, and dosimetry calculations on the environmental impact of releasing patients at outpatient treatment schedule. So these patients receive astatine treatment, and they were released at outpatient schedule. And this study calculated and also measured the astatine and also the bismuth and their environmental impact, and convinced the regulatory agency that astatine is safe for outpatient treatment. And this is a direct evidence to support that astatine is probably one of the safest therapeutic radionuclides in terms of radiation to the environment and radiation to nuclear medicine technologists and nuclear medicine clinicians and workers, and also radiation safety for the patients and their family members. So I would say that astatine is safe, and bismuth 207 is not a concern, and there's hard data to back it up.
It would seem Japan is particularly sensitive to radiation contamination. Milton, anything to add to that?
I think Yu-Chan answered that beautifully. I think that another part, maybe to answer the second part of the question there, which was, the zip code, do you need to do everything in the same place? I think saw that there was another question about why not try and do more the F18, FDG path where you do everything in the same location. I think that is also an opportunity, of course. And if you have the ability to put in a cyclotron making astatine at the same facility that you're going to be treating the patient, be my guest. That's the best case scenario. However, we don't need to be in that situation because we do have a significantly longer half-life than we do with F18. And so I think what most of the supply chain groups are looking at is having regional supply of isotopes. So a couple of different astatine dedicated accelerators making astatine and providing the raw material astatine into the different radiopharmacies to be able to produce the final radiopharmaceutical. There's opportunities to do all of that in the same place. And I think it's going to be very much based on a specific drug product, the stability of that drug product, what ends up ultimately being the best supply chain of that.
And Mike, maybe I can add a few words on Naya's vision on.
I know Dave wanted to add to this too, so let's give him a chance to.
Dave, you want to?
Yeah, I would just add to Milton's comments. For with Ionetics, we're prepared to produce astatine in Michigan and ship it throughout North America to support access and availability of Astatine-211, and then you grow the infrastructure over time to support the growth, clinical development growth of astatine. But you can load up enough activity and ship it across zip codes for sure, and plug it into an Atlee machine.
Right.
if I can add a word on what we have done in Europe, it's to develop a supply, to develop a network of cyclotrons in order to be able to supply in whole Europe. So the idea was to supply at the national level. So this is another way to do it also, yeah.
Okay. And Daniel, I know you wanted to add your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's important because the investment in cyclotrons is a substantial one. And actually, when we started working on Astatine-211, people said, "Are you going to finance, building cyclotron around, every hospital?" So that's not required. And in the press release we had last week with Ionetics, we in the US, we will leverage the Michigan cyclotron and potentially additional cyclotrons that Ionetics will deploy on a regional basis. And then we will sponsor and potentially operate the final product sites, which don't need to be in every single hospital. Maybe some hospital will make the choice to have the C100 machine and have GMP manufacturing. We don't think it's necessary. So if you take major metropolitan area like Boston, New York, Miami, LA, you can have a therapeutic dose unit, which can be operated by a radiopharmaceutical company such as Naya, that will supply the final product to the hospitals in the area. So it's not every zip code, but I would say it's probably every metropolitan area. And we can deploy that over time. We can start with the clinical development, which obviously will not be every single metropolitan area in the world, and then expand it, commercially. In China, obviously, I think Yutan is a pioneer there, and in Japan, Japan was mentioned. They already have the ability to produce, I think, in 18 different sites throughout the country. So they're probably the most advanced.
Okay. I think on that note, thank you, Daniel. That's brilliant. I think, Lynn, I think we should close out and thank our guests and thank our audience for participating. I've captured many of your questions from the chat, so we will endeavor to get answers for you if we didn't address them on the call back to you as quickly as possible. Daniel, do you want to say anything in closing before we sign off?
First of all, I want to thank all the participants. There's really an Astatine pioneering community, and I think we have many of the leaders there, and we're delighted to translate this scientific, clinical, and supply chain expertise into products that are moving into the clinic and eventually commercial in the next few months and few years. And we have conviction at Naya Therapeutics that 2026, 2027 will put Astatine-211 at the forefront of radiopharmaceuticals.
Okay, great. Thank you again, everybody. Fabulous panel. Thank you for our guest listeners. I hope you enjoyed that. Feel free to follow up with us if you have any leftover questions, and we'll wish you a good rest of your day. Take care now.
Thank you, Mike.